Welcome to episode 407 of the Red Dirt Agronomy Podcast. I am Dave Deacon. This week, we're talking again with the Dirt Road dietitian, Sherri Glazer. We'll get to our chat with Sherri in just a minute, but before we do, if you're new to the Red Dirt Agronomy Podcast, I'd like to welcome you and invite you to hit that subscribe button where you get your podcasts. And just a reminder, you will be able to find all of the information we talked about on this episode and past episodes on our website, reddirtagronomy.com. Let's kick things off with a quick trip around the table for an introduction to the dream team of dirt and everything that grows from it. Let's start with Oklahoma State University Extension Cropping Systems Specialist.
Yeah, we peaked far too early last year. We peaked at the farm show.
Dr. Josh Lofton. And across from him is a postdoctorate in the Plant and Soil Sciences Department.
Remember, it's a podcast, Josh, not a radio.
Dr. Raiden Sherri. With all of the formalities out of the way, let's kick off our conversation with Sherri that we recorded on January 10th, 2025, while we were at the Oklahoma Wheat Commission's booth during the KNID AgriFest. So, without further ado, on to the episode. You are listening to the Red Dirt Agronomy Podcast. So, Sherri, you were our most listened to episode of the Red Dirt Agronomy Podcast in 2024. So, therefore, we're having you on again this year to boost our ratings. And so, I mean, let's just call a spade a spade.
Get the Nielsen going.
Right, yeah. We numbers were good last year.
We're
so
on
we're hoping for
week this week, so
yeah.
we're wanting it.
We're wanting a strong 25. So Sherri, what have you been up to since we last talked to you?
This is good. So consumer insights say, hey, this dietitian that works with agriculture nutrition, you need to come back.
Right.
So here we are.
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Also, I will say, though, like, I really don't like to always go out on top. So this is really risky for me to be able to record this again.
Right.
I'm just saying 2025. Okay, let's see. We're, 10 days in?
You got this. We can do it.
Yeah,
Yep.
we peaked far too early last year. We peaked at the farm show.
I think you're right. Yeah. 24 was a really good year for you, huh?
I will say, yeah. So the world of nutrition and agriculture, the beauty of it is, or the non-beauty of it is it's always controversial. There's always something to be talked about. There's always somebody that, whatever it wants to be. But really, as far as the earmark and things of what I do, the continuation of just connecting people to agriculture, right? So through the work that I do with the Beef Council, continuing doing tours, really more focused on feed yards this year, because people feel like they spend their whole lives in a feed yard, right?
Right.
And so really showcasing that story to dietitians, dietetic interns all across Oklahoma, and there's one group that actually comes that brings dietitians in from all over the United States and Puerto Rico. Anyway, to be able to showcase that and really tell the true story of that life cycle, that's part of the nutrition story. We don't really think about it,
right.
But it gives them the confidence when they go to the grocery store to be able to be like, hey, I really know how this was produced. And so, no matter if you're a wheat farmer, you're probably somewhat of a beef producer too. So that's part of the work that the checkoff has done this year too. And then the other piece of that, as far as my consulting role as a dirt road dietitian, we did another event this year called Grown. So last year we did all things Brady Sidwell. It was the Brady Show. In a continuation of that, was able to partner with National Pork, Oklahoma Farm Bureau Foundation, and we took it northeast. I had never been to a mushroom farm.
Oh, really?
Dietitians had never been to mushroom farms either. Right? I don't know if I had expectations, but I had never had that opportunity. And I also, my learnings through all these things too, is really when I bring groups to places, these people have a lot of questions.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so we underestimate sometimes how much time they're really going to have. It's going to be, it's usually just an hour and a half or a tour. And I'm like, well, my group might be here for 3 hours.
Let's go and block 4 hours just in case.
Yeah. So ultimately, the theme of it this year was basically seeing the beginning to end in all aspects of it. So the mushroom piece, obviously, we were able to see beginning all the way to the end as it left there as well, too. And so that was super, super impactful. And then for lunch, we went to Piguet's Prime Time. And so Port Council sponsored that. And we had like charcuterie board building, whole fun thing, but really to connect that story. And then the fun story from that is time and time again, we talk about how small agriculture is.
Yes.
So Carolyn is actually my dad's cousin. So she is related to me.
Cool.
And we walk in and she talks about everything farm to fork that she's doing. And then what does she say about the flour that she's using?
Grown in Oklahoma.
Brady said, well.
There you go. Yeah.
Right. And so there were just so many light bulbs going off in that moment. They were like, oh my gosh, how small of a world is this?
Yeah.
Like, she's related to me. She was 4.5 hours from where I come from. Right.
Yeah.
But yet the connection of each ag story, which was not intentional. I did not ask her what type of flour she uses in her homemade bake things. And she was like, nope, Chisholm Trail Milling is where I get it.
Wow.
And so that was amazing. And then everything through that was, it just felt very homey, and it felt like agriculture was very much highlighted, and that was awesome. And then we finished the day at Miller Pecan Company, and that was Seth and his uncle and his dad. And to be able to see that, went out to the orchards, saw them harvesting, picking up. When I do tours, you want to see everything in action.
Oh, yeah.
I do believe it had rained like the day or two before.
Yeah. And
And so they were so disappointed. I'm like, that's part of the story. It's not always perfect. I mean, the weather was perfect in November, but that was the other piece of that too. And then we got to go see the shelling and the actual, how does this all come to, the consumable piece. And then they have the store and all the good stuff. And then Allison Anderson, who's the Northeast field rep for Farm Bureau, was able to talk about the Farm Bill too and how these impact both of our audiences that we work with too. So Grown 2024 was very, again, it's just the people that say yes to whenever I have to say, hey, can I got this idea. How can we make this happen?
Yeah.
And so that's what we were able to do. So we partner with Oklahoma Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, which is our state dietitian organization, to be able to promote it to dietitians. And then they let me kind of take the realm.
What kind of an audience were you talking to specifically? Were these dietitians that have been in the field for decades? Were they fresh out of college? And then secondly, what kind of questions were they asking on the tours?
Yeah, melting pot, right?
Yeah.
So I had dietetic interns that had done some beef tours with me.
Yeah.
They were like, hey, that was so impactful. I want to keep learning of what else she has to offer.
Right.
So that was awesome. And then you have the ones that have probably been working for 3 to 5 years, and you have the ones that are almost retired, and they're like, hey, I want to get back to this because there's so much that I missed out on too. And it was from all across Oklahoma. Like, it wasn't specific to any area. I mean, we had Muskogee, we had Tulsa, we had Stillwater, Western Oklahoma, Southeastern Oklahoma, and they all drove.
Wow.
And we started in Catoosa because I was like, it's the closest but furthest, and then we just hopped on a bus and went there too. The questions that they have are sometimes, maybe in agriculture, like how I've been, it just seems so elementary sometimes, and we just forget that there is no immediate knowledge based on otherwise if they've listened to a podcast or whatever things that they've really immersed themselves in. But most of them are just really open to learning, ask very transparent questions, and I think that's very important to create an environment where it's a safe place to ask questions without feeling shameful.
And it's funny you mentioned that, because that's why I'm on the podcast. Am I wrong? Because I asked the questions people may feel intimidated to ask. I'm the only one on the podcast without a PhD, so I can ask.
Yes, because you have one
I
too.
do have one. It was an accident.
Right. Yeah.
They forced me into
clerical error.
Things got out of hand.
But that's why I'm able to ask those questions and bring it back down to a more entry level. As I'm raising my hand, I can ask those, I don't want to say dumb questions, but not every question that someone's going to ask. So that's great that there was that comfort level with your audience. In that.
Yeah, and I'm a big survey girl. So if you do an event with me, you're probably going to fill out a survey. And they're not very long, but some of it's just open-ended questions, because I'm just like, what do you want to know, before we go? And that way, those that aren't used to having people come to their places that are not from ag, sometimes they're very scared of like, what are they going to ask me?
Right.
And I'm like, here's the likelihood of the pot of questions that they have or where they're coming from. And that kind of helps bring that down a little bit, so they're not like, are they just here to frame me or something like that? And they're really not. But there is that fear of always of bringing someone off the farm to your location.
So does all of them get that kind of aha moment, kind of start piecing things together, or how long, if they do, how long does it usually take them to kind of let everything kind of click and connect.
So I will say we're finally getting there, right? So you do an event and you feel like it's a home run from your personal perspective, but then you do another one, or you have a speaker at our state conference that's a little bit more ag focused, and then more light bulbs keep going off. So I feel like it's just this building block. You can't feel like everyone, it's great, right? But you have to just keep feeding them, because it's just a building block for them to really understand and to really feel like they have a more cohesive understanding of that story. Because again, you go on a wheat tour and you're like, it's just automatic, right? We plant in September, and then just like all this automatic story. Cattle go out in March, and then we pull them off in May, and then like that's so automatic. But for them and their minds, like, I mean, they're planning vacations in June. You don't plan vacations in June, where I come from, right? And they're like, oh, well, that makes sense, and this is why they have to keep it, and then this is why they're choosing this variety, and this is why they didn't choose that variety, and this is why we have genetics of the pressures and the pesticides, and this is why we need to use pesticides and things of that sort, understanding weeds and all that stuff. So it's a really, again, a building block of an understanding.
So how much do you think their comfort goes up in agriculture? Like you said, sometimes it's not pretty, sometimes it's very messy and very intimidating, or some people would even find it scary.
Wow, Josh, you're really selling agriculture here, man.
Where have you been?
Yeah.
Have you not participated in this?
Oh, I've watched PowerPoints on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So how much, I assume that their comfort level always goes up because they see it in action, and it's not as scary as they maybe have seen or heard on social media. How much comfort do they gain with agriculture after going on these tours? I would say I don't have a specific number, but typically say if you're like, hey, what's your comfort level between 1 to 5, they're hanging out at a 3, and by the time we leave there, we're at like a 4.7, 4.8 total. Most is a 5, but it's not because of it's because of the people. Yes. Yeah.
Right. It's because of the people that they meet, and again, they trust. Like, oh, now they have a person to relate whatever they see back to it, right? And if it's me, that's fine. It's the humanization of it, 100%. And so once they meet somebody, like, well, this is what they do for a living. Even me yesterday, I got a text yesterday from a family who lives in Midwest City. They had came out just to see what we do on the farm. They were beef customers of ours, and they wanted to come see. Well, she texted me yesterday, and she was like, how's the weather? How are you guys doing? Right? Because there's now a human element involved.
There's a connection.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you see that from all over. You see the people being able to trace, where their T-shirt, where the cotton came from. So, pop up a picture of this is the farmer that grew 60% of your cotton, and there's just a more apt to purchase those and to put money into the system because of that, because of the people component and
it's not so much big ag anymore, right? That's what they say. Industrial farming, factory farming, and big ag, all those words I've heard time and time again. And it might be that way in reality, right? We are at a farm show, and there's some big agricultural organizations here, right? Businesses. But at the end of the day, we need them to be successful no matter what your size. Mm-hmm. And again, once you humanize that, it makes it so much more approachable.
I think, and this is just my assumption here, but like at the beginning of social media, people there became that perception that someone's going to show up on my farm, take a video of something, and then put it on social media, and then I'm going to be demonized for it. But it sounds like you've been very successful in building that trust with the producer and your audience, and taking down that barrier almost, and it's been very welcoming for both the producer and the dietitian in those situations.
I would say so, and it's really scary to be able to be like, hey, because we've seen Fairlife, right, get framed, and that's what made news, and that's what's, if producers aren't active on social media, that's what they saw, and they're like, no, there's nobody coming on my property. Well, then what does that do to the person that's wanting to learn? Why are they not opening their gates, right? Mm-hmm. What is going on there? But over time, right, again, it's all about trust. It's trust on the producer side from me to them, but it's also trust from, as from the ground up, from dietitians, nutrition professionals, whoever really wants to learn, because there's a lot of us that eat, right? And
how has that accessibility to the producers, how has that changed the dietitians whenever they're making their recommendations for a client? How has that changed their comfort with, maybe you should look at at a poultry product that's produced in this certain way? How has that impacted that?
As far as production, I don't know specifically, right?
Yeah.
But as far as like, so say whenever I do my beef tours, like we ask like, how confident are you in recommending beef, or how are you confident in beef production in general, right? And so that's, again, 1 to 5, we're still, it's about a 3. They're like not quite sure because they don't know. Yeah. And then at the end of that, we go through everything, and they've met a producer, they've done all the things, and then they're like, oh, and then so then again, a positive experience and a little cut education,
right?
And it's way more apt to be able to recommend. It's just another ounce of confidence,
right?
And again, we think about that in a world of animal protein being always feels like in my world constantly demonized. We want to be able to provide ways that just highlight that the high quality protein, the iron, the zinc, all these nutrients that are really important, especially adolescents, young females, as we age, all the things, or anybody that's on some type of weight loss medication too. Like those protein is so important if we're not getting it from those things, right? And again, the people that recommend that, they make an impact, and it's hard to measure that sometimes in the actual recommendations, right? But so we're seeing time and time again that it is making an impact.
Yeah, I guess I'll ask a question. So you've done. He's
a PhD now.
That means something like that. So obviously you've done stuff with grain side and animal agriculture. Is there a lot more fear on the animal agriculture side from dietitians mostly when they come in, or is there really a general fear or standoffish or something?
So the two big elephants in the room whenever I work with wheat and when I work with beef are gluten. Yeah. Right? And then obviously beef and red meat in general sometimes has a negative connotation. So I wouldn't say not much negative, but I will say the work that the Wheat Commission has done with our state organization, bringing in speakers, partnering with that growing event last year like that, and Brady was on a panel last year at our state conference, and I hope you may ask him this question, but the light bulbs that was an event where the light bulbs were going off. Right. And it had taken us a couple of years to get there. And then there was like, hey, I will never forget this, but someone was like, hey, we are all on the same team here. Right. So ag producers, nutrition professionals, we are all on the same team. And I think it wasn't that we're trying to do something that they're not.
Right. Yeah. Not trying to force something on them, just trying to educate.
Right. You bring the science, you bring it to them, and you let them make their decision. That's always been my approach, just to try to remove as best as you can bias. But again, here's the information, and you do with it what you want. But likelihood when you leave here today, you're probably gonna be a changed human. I mean, that's the work that I do.
Speaking of changing humans, I mean, since we're on the subject, let's dive into what you've done with your with more of the dirt road dietitian side of everything outside of that. Walk us through what you do with that.
Right. So a couple of different components. Right. Specifically, working obviously with other ag organizations and bridging that gap, right? Speaking, I love to speak, and then through that too, individual nutrition coaching. I mainly do that virtually, but my jam is to work with farmers and ranchers. Yeah. What I have identified over the course of my 12 plus years as a dietitian is they're ready for somebody to tell them to stop eating whatever they love. Right. And I had one yesterday.
She's talking
and he was
to
like,
me.
And he was like, I had my last breakfast today. What are you taking away from me? And I'm like, no, that's not what I do. And that's what I pride myself in. So if I'm able to talk, like that's from the speaking that I do. I love to talk to ag groups as well. I was able to talk to Farm Credit last year as well too, and really like bring that audience to light and be like, I understand your workload. I understand where you come from. I understand that you don't work 40 hours a week and you don't have access to a grocery store potentially within 5 miles, and really kind of really bringing that barrier down. And it really helps that I've contracted with Oklahoma Beef Council, Oklahoma Wheat Commission, people that they're very familiar with and products that they likely produce. And so we can figure out how to more improve their long-term health so they can hopefully retire one day and enjoy traveling or enjoy whatever they want to do.
It's funny you mentioned that, and because you almost do need someone to say, hey, you don't need that. Josh had done an outstanding job with watching his diet, and I asked him if he'd like something from the show here, and he's like, I can't have that, because he knows what his body needs. It is important for folks to realize that, and thank you for doing that for folks too. I mean, because on that dirt road or in the rural perception, people just may not have that that gumption to okay, maybe I don't need to have this for a meal, or this might be a healthier choice. And luckily there are people like you out there to help make those educations.
Yeah. And I want to be approachable. So it's really scary for people when they say, hey, you got to go talk to a dietitian or a nutritionist. And they're like, I ain't going.
Right.
Because she's going to take away or he's going to take away everything that I love. And I don't do that, right? We got to figure out what you love, and we got to figure out, unless you're deathly allergic to it or something like that, right? Well, then we'll have a different conversation.
Right.
But like, that's not it. The enjoyment is the journey of life and figuring out how can you improve whatever you've got, because you got a lot more to live for, right? I mean, food is a piece. It's a piece of that puzzle, but there's a lot more enjoyment to that. But the amount of combating misinformation. I mean, yesterday, again, we were talking about a banana. I can't have bananas, Sherri. I can't have bananas because years ago, bananas were bad. Like, right, everyone, there's always something that's bad. And anyway, so I'm like, well, if we're eating a half a bag of chips versus a banana, right? And so then, I mean, I'm just like, let's just put some of this into context. And they're like, oh, that's so dumb. How come I never thought about that,
Right.
But it's okay. And whether you see me once or whether you see me 5 times throughout the year to be a touch point, like that's what I do.
Right.
And that's really what, the ag and nutrition piece keep me alive, but really being able to be impactful for someone else's life is great. I also always feel sorry for them because I'm like, I'm always in the back of your head, and I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry.
Well, I mean, but that's an important thing because it's not only is it eating healthy, so sometimes we eat the things that aren't the healthiest for us, but they're maybe healthier than an alternative. But even when a diet, it's got to be long term. So anybody can do a crash diet.
Yeah.
But 6 weeks down the line, you're craving that one thing, and it's just that waterfall for you to go down that bad path again. And so it's not only that, but it has to be a sustainable, long-term option, and cutting out everything you love just ain't. It's not sustainable.
That's right.
Because then you like hate to eat, and you hate food, and you hate all those things. We still want to love to eat.
Right.
We just need to do it with a couple of smarter choices. Dave, maybe a half of that cinnamon roll would have been good this morning.
Hey, we listen and we don't judge. Okay? But you said a key word 2 times. We talk about sustainability in agriculture, whatever. If you want to, whatever you want to say within that word, but it's. In all things we do, we need a long-term solution.
Yeah, right.
And if you live a life where you say that, like, so if you are in a cheat realm where you're like Monday through Friday, I'm doing like this perfect magical thing, and then I'm just going to cheat Saturday and Sunday, and you have a burger and you have fries and you have an unsweet tea with that, but in your mind that was a cheat meal. So where does that meal categorize in your brain Monday through Friday?
Mm-hmm.
It's bad, right? And you can never, so there's a lot of psychological and emotional healing that we work through too, especially for those that maybe grew up in the Clean Your Plate Club and all that. Like because their mom or their grandma's still in their head, telling them about the hungry children in impoverished countries.
Yeah, insert country here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we've all heard that.
Yep.
It is, and I'm glad that you're taking this approach, educating and helping to make those better choices, because I mean, everybody has that opportunity to, I can either have grapes or I can have that cookie. And if you have both available, you've learned enough about the benefits of having the grapes over that cookie. Or
this is what a lot of, especially my female audiences that I work with, the cookies or the Oreos. I always say Oreos the most often. The Oreos are in the pantry.
Yeah.
Right? So you had dinner, you're good to go. Or in my world, we do supper.
Yeah.
You had, but the pantries are in that, the Oreos are in the pantry, and they're starting to talk to you. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
So you start having this mental, he's like, yes. Mm-hmm. You start having this mental battle, right? Yeah. I just want to eat some Oreos. That sounds really good. And you say, no. And then now it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock. If you have kids, they're in bed. And then what do you end up doing, right? You go and you have the Oreos, and instead of just having 2 to 4 and just been fine with it and moving on and allowing yourself that negation of no, and then you're just,
eat the whole sleeve.
The whole sleeve, or
and half a gallon of milk.
Right. And so part of me is like, if we can start honoring some of those things and not be, again, the good or bad, and like figuring out a better what I say is a relationship with food. We don't like relationships sometimes, but you have to improve our relationship with food and move on. And the society that we have in the United States is really difficult because they love diets, right? And that's what makes a lot of money. I am not that person.
So oh gosh, it's been 13 years maybe since the since the Cowboys went to the Fiesta Bowl. I was driving back, and I made the New Year's resolution of, by golly, I'm done with soda. I'm done, and I don't know if I overdid it, because I was driving back from, oh gosh, it would have been Phoenix to Albuquerque in the middle of the night, and I'm just shaking, and I had too many Dr. Peppers, and I said, okay, my New Year's resolution starts now. I am done. All these years later, I've not had a soda. I don't know if it was just overdoing it at the end, or just, I tell you what it was. I moved from soda to tea, and then from tea to water, and now I have cold brew from time to time, but it's primarily water. But I did find that substitution and the other way of still enjoying a meal but not having that soda with it too. So
and that's two conversations to be had that you could like diverge from there. It's like, have you had pop again? Have you tried it again? Nope. Okay, I'm curious. If you ever do, I'm always curious of what people's thoughts are, because they're like, that was never good as what I thought it was.
I did have it in my dream once, and I had, it was crazy because,
was it as good in your dream as you remember?
I was scared to death because I thought, oh no, I'm 8 years into this, and now I have to start over. And so I have not had any soda beverages since then.
And the other fork in the road to that I really have a lot of challenges with is pop is just so readily available, right? Mm-hmm. So you a kids meal, whatever, and you're like, water's not even an asked option. You're like, oh, I'll just take water, like just water. And I'm like, what did water do to you guys? Like, I don't know what's happening there. Our children are being constantly, it's a constant infusion of that sugar too. So how can we find a better balance to that? Again, it would have to be an entire culture change, but one human at a time here.
We have twin daughters. They're 9 years old, and up until maybe a year ago, they didn't even know what Coke or Pepsi or anything tasted like, just because we don't necessarily have it at the house. But when they go to Granny loves a good Dr. Pepper, and so I just called out my mother-in-law on that. They will go to an unnamed grandparent.
No, you already named.
And but
edit.
Yeah, right. Edit. Cut that. Take that out. But she'll say, hey, do you want something? And they're like, yeah, I'll try a Dr. Pepper or whatever. And so we still limit it, but it's not their first choice whenever we go, in any other meal that we have.
Yep. It becomes more, I don't want to say it was a treat, but back in the day it was like, hey, we're going to go to the whatever store and use our quarter or nickel or whatever it was and go get one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And now you just like, I don't know, Route 44 is all the things. I'm like, why do we have so much? But here we are. It's okay.
But 44 ounces of water will do a body good. Yeah. That's what I say. These guys are not shaking their head yes.
Well,
I drink 2 of those a day.
I guess you're right.
Hey, another topic of conversation. So our friends in agriculture that farm and ranch and they're out in the heat are a very different population, right?
Yes.
So we think about athletes needing replenishment of electrolytes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Our people that are working on combines in the middle of heat and all the things so that's another really, this last year I've seen a really larger trend, and that's where some things of the sodium replacement packets and things, liquid IV and stuff. I'm like, we got to figure out which one you need, because you are not consuming it. You might be drinking water,
right,
but you're not replacing what you lost when you were working on broke down in equipment or whatever it may be.
Yep.
I'm really bad about, I stopped drinking pop, whatever, and I always look for something different, something that's going to fix the craving. And so I ended up at one point drinking a 24-pack of Fresca in about 24 hours.
Wow.
How do you stop doing that?
Is that called a relapse?
Yeah. Well, there's no sugar, right?
Oh,
there's
okay.
no calories.
No sugar. Yeah.
But it's got aspartame, and that doesn't work good for the gout. So, yeah.
And gut. And then there's some, and so the dose is in the poison.
Yeah.
I don't know what that dose is, but it might be a 24-pack.
Yeah, it's just really hard sometimes because you find something different that's like, oh, that's better.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's all you consume.
So my suggestion for people like that is a kind for kind, right? You drink one and then you have to do the same amount in unsweet tea or water until you do the next one.
Yeah.
And then part of that is like, why? Why do I feel like I have to have that?
Yeah.
Right? Why? What's so wrong with water?
Yeah.
Get your prime packet.
Yeah.
I mean, or if you get a Kool-Aid packet, unsweetened Kool-Aid packet, it's fine. You know. So, and then I think also, I have had done this with some clients before. You have to put that money into a jar.
I'd stop immediately. I'm not giving away money.
Or like when you drink water, you put what would have cost you that Fresca into a jar, and then you know, over time, I mean it can have a negative. And then the other thing that isn't talked about as far as financial piece of that is like what's going to happen in our future too if we don't make. I'm not talking about Fresca in general, but you know, if our blood pressure starts to spike up, and then we got prediabetes, all these things, then the healthcare costs that go with that. And if we can change something now, but the problem is, I'm assuming you had no nutrition education foundation. You're just winging it.
Yeah, for the most part, which I would say I generally eat decent, but it's more of just general knowledge. That's not eating, sir. It's not eating. That keeps me from eating.
Oh,
it's not good, but it does. This one's better. This one's alternative. It says it on the can. But yeah, I think most of it is just. Oh, well, I'll tell you the worst one. Documentaries. I watched a documentary about this guy walked across somewhere and had a juicer, and he would that's all he drank he'd juice vegetables, and that's all he drank. Don't do that. It's not good.
We've already talked about sustainable solutions, right?
Bad diets on the documentary, not good.
That's the challenge that I live in, is documentaries and nutrition and ag documentaries. They evoke emotion, right? They get you connected to them. They get you. I mean, it's a whole thing. And so then you're like, well, I can do that, but that's also why we like science.
Yeah,
right? Sure. Like we like science for this reason, to make it make sense.
Yeah, for sure.
So Sherri, how can folks learn more about Dirt Road Dietitian, but also your other project as well?
So again, you just go to dirtroaddietitian.com. If I'm on Facebook, Instagram, my goal for 2025 is to get a little bit more active back in that space too. But sometimes it's hard to do, but it's a great way to connect with people. And then always just shoot me a message on either of those, and you're going to get me.
Yeah.
So, and dietitian is spelled DIETITIAN. No C.
Well, Sherri, thank you so much for going on with us again this year, and here's to making this the number one podcast for the Red Dirt Agronomy podcast this season too.
2025, here we come.
Yeah.
Then we can tell Brian he wasn't on it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, where is he?
Sorry, Brian. Yeah.
That's all right. No, thanks for having me. Honestly, it's really an honor as far as a dietitian to be able to be on this and be able to share this message too. So I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening in on this conversation of the Red Dirt Agronomy podcast. And if you'd like to join in on the next discussion, leave us a message on our website, reddirtagronomy.com. We'd like to thank the Dirt Road dietitian, Sherri Glazer, for joining us on this episode of the podcast. Again, if you get a chance, visit our website, reddirtagronomy.com, to find out more information about our guests and any of the resources they discussed on the podcast. For Dr. Josh Lofton and Dr. Radon Sherri, I'm Dave Deacon, and we all want to thank you for listening. The proceeding is a copyrighted recording of Ag Now Media, LLC 2025. And yes, all rights are reserved.